All right, here we are working through this problem, return string of first characters. My name is Jordan Manley. I'm the founder of CodeTrack. You can go to www.codetrack.dev to create a profile for yourself if you would like. This is what CodeTrack looks like here. You can sign up for free. And what CodeTrack will do is create a profile on you as a developer as you complete code challenges, build a project, all kinds of stuff, and ultimately you can use your profile alongside your resume or as a standalone to show your level of skill and your consistency in coding. If you want to learn more, you can certainly go over to CodeTrack and see more there. Here we're going to work through return string of first characters. This is a problem on Codewars. As you finish Codewars problems, CodeTrack will give you points for that. So we've got our description here. In this exercise, a string is passed to a method, and a new string has to be returned with the first character of each word in the string. As an example, we have this is a test, and we have the T, I, A, T, all the first letters of each word. It says strings will only contain letters and spaces with exactly one space between words and no leading or trailing spaces. Awesome. That should make our job fairly easy and straightforward. Let's go over here to train or train again. I've done this problem before, so mine says train again. First thing I always like to do is delete all but one test. We'll keep one test around so that we can use it. And let's just take a look here. So we've got our area to write code, our description of the problem, and our area to write and run tests. So we'll start down here with writing some tests. We're going to follow something like test-driven development here. First thing we want to do up here is describe the problem. A function that takes a string of words and returns a string made of each word's first character. And here we'll say it handles strings with one word. So we'll treat this as our simplest or our base case. And so let's go ahead and change this to just A. A is one word, sure, and the result should be A, very simple. I'm not going to use this third argument here where we can get sort of a message. That's all we're going to do. So from make string passing in A, we should get back A. And let's go ahead and run our test by clicking on test. We see that we have failed that test. Very simple, but makes sense. When we call make string passing in A, we are not returning anything here, and we expect to be returning A. So let's write some code to make that pass. I'm just going to say return S. And in this very simple case, this should work since an A comes in and A comes out. We'll run that. And hey, we see that that works just fine. So let's go ahead and make another one here. I'm going to move on to B, and we should get a B back. That should work without any problem. Yep, there we go. All right, now we're going to move on though to a single word but with more than one letter. So how about we say Bob, and Bob should just give us B. So go ahead and run that. And now we see, oh, we've run into a failing test here. We expected B, but instead we got Bob. So how can I change this? I could just put here a 0 in square brackets to say that I want only the first character out of this string. So the first character of A is A, first character of B is B, first character of BOB is B. That should work fine. Okay, yep, that's looking good. Let's do just one more test in this category. So I'll come down here and let's do Claude. And with Claude, we expect to get C. In fact, let's make that an uppercase C. Why not? Should be an uppercase C. And we run that, and boom, we're good. All right, those are our strings with one word. We could do more, but 4 is more than enough there. Let's take this it block, and now we'll say it handles strings with more than one word. I'm going to go ahead and delete all but one of these tests again. All right, so here let's say A, B, C, and then we should get A, B, C. 3 words or 3 sets of characters separated by exactly one space, as the problem said. Take the first, character of each one. We get ABC, and let's go ahead and run that. All right, we expected ABC, instead we only got A, which of course makes sense since all we're returning is the first letter here. So we need to do some more coding. We need to find a way to separate these into individual pieces. We can do that by using split. So let's create a variable here. We'll call this words. And words, I'm actually going to rename this to something slightly more readable, like str for string. String has a method called split, and split says take whatever you'd like to target and it will split that into individual strings. So our string that we're testing right now is ABC. If we call split on this and we pass in an empty space, note that there's a space right here, we're going to get an array back, and our array will have A, comma, B, comma, C. So our result over here will be that for this particular input. And now we're going to loop through words and get first character of word. And then we say save that character to a variable. And then finally, we'll return that variable down here. So that begs the question, of course, what is that variable? Let's go here and create it. We'll say let first letter of each word is equal to, and we'll just set that to an empty string. We could set it to an array, but we have no big need to do that. Let's just make it an empty string and we'll add to it as we go. So first we'll loop through. We'll say here for const word of words, and drop down here. Then get the first character of a word. Okay, we've already got that right here. We're going to basically use this same thing. You see this a lot in test-driven development. Even though we're rearranging things, we can often grab things that we've already figured out and use them in our code. So here we'll say const first letter is equal to, now it's not string at 0, but word at 0. I'm going to put that right there. And then we want to save that character to our variable. So grab this variable here, and we'll say plus equals first letter. And then finally we want to return this variable down here. So we take our string and split it up into words. We create an accumulator, or somewhere where we're going to hold all the first letters of each word. Then we've got a for of loop here. For every word of words, find the first letter of that word, save that first letter to our accumulator, and when we're totally done with this loop, when we've gone through each word, we're going to go ahead and return that statement. So let's go ahead and test that. Great, that's looking good. We're now passing all of our tests. Let's go write some more tests. So I'm going to come over here, and let me just clean this up a bit. There we go. All right, so the cat was big. Here we say capital T, lowercase c, lowercase w, lowercase b. That should be our result. Let's go ahead and test it. Great. I'll do one more and then I'll use some of the examples given to us in this problem. So let's try school is out for summer. Here we have all capital letters. School is out for summer. Seoffs. And we'll run that. Looking great. All right. I always like to work off of a couple of the examples given to us in the problem. It's a good way to make sure that we are passing it. So let's look at a couple of those. I guess there's just this one, right? This is a test. So we'll grab that, come down here, drop it in here, and we expect to get TIAT. Run it. Beautiful. All right. Now I feel pretty confident that I have a good solution here. I want to go back over my code and see if I can improve it or clean it up at all. One thing is, it'd be perfectly fine to get rid of your pseudocode at this point if you'd like. I'm going to do that right now. And check, I want to see, is there anywhere I'm using let that I could be using const? Nope, because this needs to change as we go, so it needs to stay let. Everything else is const. Oh, I can get rid of this. That was a note to myself. I've got semicolons on every line. I've got nice descriptive variables. I would rename this to something a lot more descriptive, but I can't do that, unfortunately, and still pass the test. So I think we're looking pretty good here. We've got a runtime of n to split and then n to go through each one. Everything else is a runtime of 1. So this problem has a runtime of n, where n is all of the words inside of our string. And with that, actually, I think it's more proper to say runtime of n, where n is all the characters inside the string. Great, let's go ahead and make sure I didn't mess up anything. Looks good. Click on attempt. Beautiful. We see that we've passed on our first time, as we should, and we'll go ahead to submit that. Looking very good. Okay, here's some other solutions. We can just glance and see if we see anything that looks interesting. While I love interesting solutions, what I'm most interested in is things that are very readable and easy to understand. That is what I aim for in my code. That's what I suggest you aim for in your code. So while something like this is quite interesting and I would want to dig in and see how this regular expression is working, at the same time, I would much rather a teammate of mine write something that I can read and understand and easily make changes to, rather than something that happened to be shorter but a bit more difficult to read. So lots of one-liners here. Something here that seems a little bit more complicated than ours. I'm going to go ahead and say ours was very readable compared to a lot of these, although all these look fine. And great, that's it. I hope that helps with understanding the problem. And don't forget to, with a problem like this, come back and do it later. If this was a bit hard, leave a few hours or come back tomorrow and do it again. It's a great thing to practice more than once. Thanks so much. Have a great night.